Good day, everyone. So I'm sorry I'm not able to be with you today. I'm dialing in from Switzerland, where Nestlé has the head office. Now, the presentation today, I will cover two topics. One is about putting people at the center of our factories, and the other is smart factories, or what we are doing in terms of digital transformation. But first, let me start by talking a little bit about Nestlé. Nestlé at a glance, I think everyone knows Nestlé. The US is one of our biggest, no, it is the biggest market. We have 2,000 brands worldwide. We operate in 185 countries, 270,000 employees. And you see, we spend 1.7 billion Swiss francs, so almost $2 billion per year in R&D. We have made bold commitments in terms of net zero. And I think yesterday you had Mike Kuntz talk a bit about our strategy in manufacturing. And we have a rich history because we go back over 1.5 centuries. Now, let me start by, telling you how we see the factory of the future. The factory of the future for us is a factory that is open to consumer. It's a factory that is operator-centric, digitally enabled, and sustainable. And today I'm going to talk about operator centricity and digital. And then, of course, a factory of the future is not only a concept, it has also to deliver something. And on your right, you see what we want to achieve with our future factories is basically zero incidents or zero serious incidents. Labor productivity up by 50%, conversion costs down by 20 to 30%, greenhouse gases, this I already mentioned, and you can be, of course, at zero greenhouse gas emissions. You still need energy, but we aim to reduce our energy by 50% and our water use as well. So this is how we have defined what we mean by our factory of the future. Now, people, we have around 100,000 operators on our lines in our factories. They are the people who actually make the food. They are our chefs, if you want. And as you see, we have also 337 sites. And we see that in these turbulent times, we require a new operating system for our frontline workers. Employee value propositions have to evolve. It's more about, just the pay, but we have to offer modern benefits to attract the modern, the new generation. The pandemic has shown how important the frontline was to deliver the products and how important it is to be autonomous at the front line. And finally, we all know that there is a huge opportunity for us to combine human intelligence with machine intelligence. So we started at the beginning by listening to our operators. So in Nestlé, we have a process called Nestlé and I, where we ask all our employees to a number of questions on how they feel in the company. And we just completed one right now, but 3 years ago, we looked at the recent studies and we looked at all the messages we had received from the front line. Actually, we went through 30,000 messages from our front line in our factories. And not surprisingly, they want the same thing that we want. And yet, very often, we treat the blue colors very differently from the white color. But in fact, they want a career, they want development, they hate to waste time. They want reward, and this is the salary, but it's also recognition. They want to be empowered to make decisions. And of course, they want to have a good boss, a competent leader. So very, very similar to what probably you and I would like to have in our company. Now, at Nestlé, and I guess the same for many of you, we are applying TPM, Total Performance Management, as our operating system in our factories. So it's basically the Toyota management system. And we see that there is now this opportunity to enrich TPM with digital. And this is what we have been doing. So there is two axes. One is robotization, of course, and this has started many years ago. And our aim is to remove all the repetitive tasks. But now with also AI and digital process control, smart sensors, this is relatively new, and this will allow us to simplify our operating system, TPM, and help the operators manage their process, and in a way also become less dependent on their knowledge, so that we can reach, I think, excellence in a much faster and easier way. And this is what we have been doing at Nestlé, combining TPM with digital to have a simpler, more effective, and easier to implement management system for the frontline. Now, taking all this input, the technology development we have created, and this is 3 or 4 years old now already, and it is deployed in most of our sites. We have developed this framework that has 4 pillars for our frontline. So it's about being much more systematic in offering compelling careers and development opportunities. It's about having the right organization. We know that factories can be organized in different ways. So for us, the best way is to be line-centric, like mini business units inside the factories. Then the connected ways of working, this is what I meant before, TPM with digital. And finally, to have the operators assisted by intelligent machines. Now I want to show you a very short video that is about 1.5 years old that we made in Brazil. So let's start the video. Yeah, I hear that the video is finished. So this is real life in Brazil last year. Brazil is one of our markets where manufacturing is the most developed, but this you could find it in nowadays in many of our factories. Now, so I completed the first topic, which is about putting people at the center, or our frontline at the center of our operation. Now, a little bit on digital and what we are doing in digital in manufacturing at Nestlé. So the second topic. And taking a step back, I'm sorry, this is a bit of a complicated slide, but don't worry, it's not that complicated. We are lucky at Nestlé, we have one ERP template. So with SAP, we have SAP, the same template in more than 90% of our factories. It's not exactly 100% because there are some acquisitions that we are not yet implemented, but we are going very systematically to make sure that it is everywhere, and it is the same template in every factory. Then below our ERP, our enterprise system, we have a manufacturing execution system that we call DMO, which is a proprietary system that links obviously our ERP to our shop floor and our production lines. And here again, we have taken the decisions a few years ago to go for our own system. And this is virtually in all our factories. And this system is modular, it's highly configurable, and it's flexible. And we have around 20 modules that the factories can implement. Some of them are mandatory, and others are, I would say, optional, depending on the local needs. Now, here you see a little bit some of the applications, I would say the key applications we have in our factories. From left to right, you see a decreasing deployment, but on the left, you see digital line performance, we call DMO performance, is to automatically measure OEE and all the information related to stoppages. This is live on 4,700 lines out of 5,000 lines. We have 5,000 lines. Then we have digital quality, labor productivity, digital maintenance, energy benchmarking, and you can see the deployment is already quite advanced. Of course, when this is the number of factories, but if you go into a single factory, it might not be on every workstation, not every person. So here we are now tracking not only at factory and line level, but we are also working at employee level. Now the future is on the right, is intelligence, machine learning, AI. Here you see we are only on 150 lines. This statistics is 12 months old, so now we are higher, but nothing compared to the others. And it is the new frontier for us. It's a huge opportunity, because what we will be able to do is to combine all these, single solutions. The aim is to combine them and really then leverage AI. But how are we going to even leverage AI? And this is the next slide. I'm sure you're familiar with this type of chart. From left to right, you see the increasing difficulty, and from bottom to top, you see the increasing value. But so the first floor, or the first step, if you want, you have SAP, you have the smart sensors. I explained this is what happened. On the next step is what is happening now. For this, we have DMO, we have historian. Some of it is internal tools, others is, of course, applications such as POCA or Endeavor. Then we go to the third level, which is why it happened. Here it is already more advanced. We are talking about advanced analytics, and we use a platform like Trend Miner, and this is in deployment in more and more factories. We have a global license. And what I want to talk about now is Nexus, which is a platform we are building to industrialize AI, to be able to scale AI. This will help us predict what is going to happen. So Nexus is a digital backbone which we are building with Microsoft, and I believe at this scale it is unique in our industry. So you can see what it does here. It will house all the AI applications. It will be connected to SAP, to DMO, our MES, to Historian. It will also be connected to our enterprise data platforms. And it will have a number of tools inside, and it should allow us. The vision, of course, is to be able to deploy remotely AI modules into our factories. When there is a new version, to deploy the new version. A little bit what happens with our iPhones. Right now, this is not the case, so we are building it. Right now, when we deploy an AI solution, let's say on a roaster, or on an extraction system, or on a boiler, on fluidized bed boilers to burn coffee grounds. We have it there. We have to send engineers, so it's a little project. But this is not sustainable if we want to have these modules in all our factories. That's why we are building this with the support of Microsoft. And we call it Nexus. So this is on the operational side. Now on the capital side, CapEx, we also want all our lines and factories to be born digital going forward. So we have a project called Apollo. Because right now, how are we, investing? We build a new, let's say, coffee line. We have a standard. Then we have the previous project, and we have another previous project, and then the local project team will design the new line, taking all this into consideration. And it is a kind of a customization. And we know this is not efficient. It's not lean, and it leads to suboptimal results. So now we have a project for the last 18 months to build for our key technologies, like a car configurator. You want to buy a car, of course, there are options, but it's not customization to the level we are doing, and we are very confident that with this we will be able to be much more efficient in terms of CapEx deployment. And the idea is when you deploy a line, you get all the information with it, all the standard operating procedures, all the training material, all the maintenance plans, all the quality plans, and so on. So this would all be part of this tool. Now I'm coming very quickly to the end of the presentation. So I talked about two things in terms of digital. On the left, it's about operational efficiency. It's about yield. It's about workforce enablement, productivity, and so on. And for this, we have this Nexus platform that will allow us to scale AI. And on the right side, it's more about CapEx, efficiency, time to value, lowest cost of ownership. So these two together, we call it the full digital twin. Now, this is the last slide. So just to summarize, we want to transform manufacturing at Nestlé through talent, technology, and expertise. Of course, we have the food expertise. We are the biggest food company in the world. We spend a lot in R&D, so we have this. We are also putting a lot of effort on being people-centric and preparing our factories for the talent of tomorrow, giving them opportunities so that we can retain our talent. And finally, we are deploying, I would say, advanced technologies in a systematic way and at scale. And with this, we believe we are able to create a competitive manufacturing network. And with this, I'm at the end of the presentation, so we still have a few minutes for questions.
Questions from the audience? No questions? Peter, I have one question for you. What's next?
Well, next is the deployment, right, and the execution. Here I painted a little bit where we are going, and I think on the first three layers of digital, we are progressing very fast, but execution, adoption is not yet 100%. And in our network, we still see variable, performance levels. So I think it's about executing very diligently and making sure that we get there as fast as possible. Adoption is a very important measure, actually, when you talk about digital. For each of the tools, we have around 20 mandatory tools in manufacturing. We have defined routines, how these tools are integrated into the daily routine of the factory staff. So we call these key standard routines. So this is part of TPM. Then for each tool, we have defined adoption criteria, levels of maturity, typically to 3. So for instance, the performance measure, level 0 is we just record when the machine is down. Instead of writing it on paper, we put it into the system. Level 1 is to do it automatically. Level 2 is to do it automatically and also to include the reason why the machine stopped. And level 3 is to do this for the key machines on the line, including the bottleneck. So the aim is that all our machines, all our lines are at level 3. So some factories are there, other factories are not yet there. So there is still a long way for us to go, but I think it's very clear now where we want to go. And then AI, like many companies, we have very successful pilots. And some of them have been scaled, like in soluble coffee. We have already quite a good deployment, but in other categories, this is not yet the case. So this is another, I would say, big opportunity for us. So this, I would say, is what is next. And we have just actually reissued our operating model to integrate all of this and to make sure that everyone has the same reference framework.
Thank you. Any question from the room? There's a question down there.
I'm curious, Peter, on the Brazil rollout that you highlighted there, what was the adoption of the people on the floor to using the technology? What kind of pushback did you get from them? How long did it really take them to get buy-in into what you were doing?
Brazil is a very interesting country. It's a country that is very advanced already in TPM, historically. I don't know why, but if I lived in Brazil for a while, and of course in Sao Paulo, which is the biggest city, you have 1 billion Japanese. So I don't know if this is the way TPM arrived in Japan, but I don't know exactly. But so TPM is extremely well established in all our factories. Now, then we came with technology, and actually we have integrated this technology together with TPM, and it makes it easier. So we have now a tool called POCA. Some of you might know it, and in TPM you have these skill matrices, and this can be quite cumbersome. So you come with a tool like POCA, and it makes their life easier. So the adoption is not that difficult because it was simplifying their life. Also, we had an old system called SAM, stoppage analysis module, which was quite cumbersome, and now we have DMO performance. Again, it's easier to use. And all of these checks that we are doing on the line, the vision really is, an operator needs to go and look at the center line or look at the temperature, measure and record the pressure. All of this, the aim is to make it automatic. And so the operators don't need to go and look at the temperature. The temperature can be recorded, real time. And when you combine all this information, the intention is then go from product release to process release. So I would say, generally speaking, in Brazil, the adoption was not an issue. Of course, we have some countries where you have to engage with the unions. And it's not always easy. I'm not going to say it's always easy. But generally, by being operator-centric, we are now very careful that what we bring to the shop floor has to be proven, has to be simple. And we used to have in the past, this approach that the quality department came with their requirements. The safety department came with their requirements, and so on and so forth. So when you are on the front line trying to operate, it gets very quickly very complicated. So now we have this integrated system that putting the front line at the center, making sure that the systems are simple and easy to use, and actually simplifying the life and removing the repetitive tasks. But the way I say it now, it sounds like paradise, so it's not always like that exactly. But this is the aim, and we have a lot of engagement when we get it right in our factories.
Thank you, Peter. Round of applause for him.